Last month, President Joe Biden announced a plan to fund expanded child care and education programs by increasing taxes on the wealthiest Americans. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, who made nearly $32 million just last year, expressed concern about how that money from the wealthy would be spent and suggested lawmakers create and share an itemized list of the ways extra dollars from a tax hike would fund the government's infrastructure plans. When Senator Elizabeth Warren ran for president, a key part of her campaign was a wealth tax on the richest Americans. While her presidential dream was not realized, her wealth tax still is around. Senator Warren has a new book out titled Persist. It is about her presidential run and how her own life experiences impacted her belief in the need for political transformation. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat of Massachusetts, joins me now. What do you think about the sort of general politics of tax hikes on the wealthy now compared to, say, a year ago or 2 years ago?
How about just before Jeff Bezos announced his new yacht? Because I look at it like this. The Republicans are saying we can't raise the minimum wage. We can't fund child care for all the mothers who need to go back to work. We can't cancel any student loan debt. And we can't put a wealth tax on the richest Americans. Look, this is a fight I am ready to have. And I just feel like just today, Jeff Bezos has given us a new round of ammunition in this fight. We need to jump in and go.
You know, there's two ways to look at this, and I think I've asked you this before, but I think it's germane here as well, right? When you talk about the wealth tax, you talk about capital gains tax increases, right? So there's one question is, where do you get money for government spending? Where do you find the money on the ledger? And the other is there sort of a reason in and of itself from the perspective of capital accumulation in terms of making sure you don't have concentrated vast fortunes for this kind of approach to taxation that's even independent of what it can pay for?
I think the answer to that is yes and yes. Look, we need the money because we need to put it into investment. But this fundamental question about wealth in America, we talk about income inequality, and you'll see the reports on how much the CEOs are making this year while so many American families are suffering. And it is staggering. There's a huge difference in income between the top and the bottom. But the differences in wealth, it doesn't look like this. I'd have to drill a hole in the ceiling to be able to describe the difference. And the key to this is it's no longer about what you can earn, what you have to get out and do. Once we start talking about wealth, it takes on its own, it has its own wealth managers. It has its own people who make sure that it's invested properly and that it's getting all the tax breaks that it can. It has its own lobbyists. Shoot, it even has its own PR folks out there so that it grows on its own. What the wealth tax is about that I've proposed, 2 cents on every dollar above $50 million, a little bit more once you hit $1 billion. Here's the thing, those fortunes would still grow. They just wouldn't grow quite as fast. And in return for that, universal child care, universal pre-K, money into K-12, college without kids having to take on a penny of debt, canceling a big chunk of student loan debt, investments in infrastructure. There is so much that we could do with that money to create opportunity, not just for those born into wealth, but create opportunity for everyone else.
You know, in both the book and on the campaign trail, you talked about caring for your daughter and being in a position of being in school and working. And it's been part of, I think, sort of the policy vision you've articulated and reflected in some of the stuff that Biden has proposed to create a kind of care infrastructure for parents, for children. There's been some interesting attacks from the right that this is essentially a form of social engineering, or that it's some kind of elitist project to foist some way of raising kids onto the good working class middle Americans who don't actually have any interest in it. And as someone who is not exactly, raised in a hippie commune, I'm curious your response to that.
I think the attack is frankly just bizarre. The way I see this, we've been investing in infrastructure for decades. And mostly our male legislators have said, we know what infrastructure is. It's roads and it's bridges so that people can get to work. 21st century, we're starting finally to say it's also communications. We need to make sure there's broadband everywhere. But I'll tell you what women have been saying for a very long time. If you want mamas to be able to go to work, mamas of little children, then we've got to make childcare available. Second part to that is we also need to be making the investments in our children. And that's childcare and early childhood education because they are linked together. We need to give our children opportunities from the time they're really little to expand their vocabularies, to be around other people. Parents don't have to put their children into childcare, but they should have that opportunity. It's something that a lot of rich folks do. And the third part, we talk about equality. Understand it this way. If we are truly committed to equality among genders, then we will make sure that every parent has access to affordable, available, high-quality child care. If we are committed to equality among races, we will make sure that the people who are child care workers get the same kind of investment in their jobs as we invest in the construction jobs for roads and bridges. It's a win-win-win all around when we make these investments in childcare. We can track the data. These are babies who do better as children and do better as adults when they have a chance to get high-quality care early on. You know, this is just something we should have started doing a long time ago. Other countries did, and we haven't. So what I talk about in Persist is why, from a personal point of view, we need to do it, but also we need to do this for our whole country.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, the new book is titled Persist. It is available now wherever you purchase your books. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you.